TC McDonald, a trans woman of color activist, but I've been homeless for about 13 years now. It's been really tough as a trans woman who wants to have the things that regular people have, like her own place, her own kitchen, her own bathroom, and her own bedroom, and not be able to have those things because I'm constantly being discriminated against for being a woman of color, for being trans, for being a person that's shunned in society all together. A lot of people don't want to acknowledge that Black Lives Matter, the campaign, was founded by queer women of color. You can't use Black Lives Matter and not think about all the Black lives that matter. We don't march for trans women. Why is that?
My name is Darla Lannert, and I am a volunteer here at Outreach.
My name is Ginger Beyer. I'm a volunteer here at Outreach and also a member of the Outreach Board Directors.
At any one time, there's 50 young trans people that need a place to live.
In Madison?
Madison. I have for several years been hosting young transgendered women in my home, homeless transgender women in my home who have no place else to go. Most young transgendered people have had to leave their own homes at a very early age. Transgendered people have stayed hidden for a very long time. It is only recently that we've started to sort of come out of the closet, so to speak, and say, hey, we exist, we want the same rights as everybody else, we deserve the same rights, we're just people just like you. The transgender population is a small minority, and so it's easier to discriminate against us. What we're currently doing in terms of homelessness, especially for LGBT population, isn't working.
Just one Friday, we had 4 transgender people seeking shelter because they had nowhere to go. People have nowhere to go.
My name is Anders Zanichkowski. I'm the program director at Tenant Resource Center. I'm sort of our LGBT resources specialist because I am trans and I am gay. So homelessness can affect anybody. Anybody can be queer. Anybody can be transgender. So if you are super poor, you can also be super poor and queer. If you're a person of color, you can be a person of color and trans. So, you know, these things they're never mutually exclusive. And I think it's important to start there because the way that we talk about oppression, the way that we put it on posters and put it in movies, and the way that we're trained to think of these things is that you're either black or you're a woman, right? Which of course is not true.
My name is Maurice Gattis, and I'm an assistant professor at the School of Social Work. And my research focuses on gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender health, as well as homelessness. When we identify someone, we do see their gender, we do see their race. We may pick up on perceptions of social class. And intersectional lens does tell us that it is the collection of someone's identity, the privileged and oppressed identities that would allow for different kinds of treatment. And the literature and research suggests, though limited, that transgender people of color are at greater risk. Transgender people are systematically excluded from viable options, including education, including housing, including employment. And even in the state of Wisconsin, we do have protections for sexual orientation discrimination, but we don't have gender identity discrimination. So you can legally fire someone in the state of Wisconsin for being transgender, and that's okay.
During that venture, we come across some drunken neo-Nazis. I wouldn't have known that at first. I never had somebody tell me or call me a nigger or tell me that I should go back to Africa. I was the one that got attacked. And in me defending myself, somebody passed away. And after that, waiting for the police, being harassed by the police, I fought the system as for as long as I could. I took it to trial, and I took a plea deal, knowing how it's pretty much set up for the mass incarceration of marginalized bodies.
And I think it really comes back to the power that cis people have in that personal interaction. So much of the world gets run based on a conversation you had with someone, how they perceived your appearance. And that's where so much racial prejudice, class prejudice, and transphobic prejudice really exercises itself, is in that face-to-face, one-on-one interaction. It's going to disproportionately affect anybody who doesn't pass in that interaction. Your ability to pass is going to also be backed up by all those other systems of privilege. Do you have money? Are you white? Are you able-bodied? Those other systems reinforce each other all the time.
Well, the grant we're writing is to start a program for LGBT homeless. The name of that program will be Building New Beginnings. That program will consist of partnering with Outreach's current program, Wilma's Fund, which provides emergency services to LGBT homeless, mainly transgendered homeless. Setting up a system of host homes, and setting up a former mentorship program. And in the future, we hope to open a physical facility to house 10 to 16 people. The hope for our grant, I guess, is to provide a faster, safer, less discriminatory access to homeless services for the LGBT population, especially transgendered.
That 87% of LGBT people in centers have been harassed in some way.
And transgender people are denied entry to the shelter of their chosen gender. They are subject to violence within the shelter from both staff and residents.
A transgender person does not feel safe being in a homeless shelter when they are asked to be somebody who they're not.
Not only do we see overrepresentation of transgender people based on their representation in the general population, but compared to other homeless individuals, we see greater risk for negative outcomes.
You know, being transgendered is so hard, and transitioning is so hard, and to have to do it without a roof over your head is just plain, criminal.
It's hard to divorce any part of anyone's identity from their present situation. Being transgender is someone's identity. It is ever present with them, and it's impossible to remove from their existence.
Gender and sexuality are not tied together. People tend to be so focused on what's below my waist.
Right.
Have I had gender reassignment surgery? That's a very personal question. I don't want somebody coming at me at the street or in a bar or whatever and asking me, what's down there any more than you do.
When am I going to finally get to be me? When do I finally step forward and live an authentic and a genuine life of who I feel I really am? It's a huge decision to transition and face the fact that you may lose everything, but you gain yourself.
Being trans isn't something I can put on or take off at whim. It is who I am. It's how I experience the entire world. You cannot tell someone to check their identity at the door. They are their identity. When trans people are told that that's not a priority, we're basically being told that we don't exist and that we don't matter. And so when you don't have that, your ability to make a grocery list, your ability to make a budget, your ability to go to a job. If my job is customer service, and I have to be nice to people all day, and inside I am in a state of constant psychological crisis, I'm not able to function, I'm not able to live in the world. And if someone wants to help me, they have to help me by helping me, right? They can't make me check who I am at the door. That tells me that I don't exist, because there's no part of me that needs housing that isn't trans, right? So if you're gonna house me, you're housing a trans person.
I don't want you to just stand with me. I don't want you to just tolerate me. I want you to understand me and love me.